the head of construction and real estate at MHA Carpenter Box. I'm joined with Rachel.
I'm one of the tax partners at MHA Carpenter Box.
Rachel, I think it was actually quite a good budget for the construction and real estate sector. There was quite a lot in there. What were your thoughts on the, I suppose, start off with the COVID support stuff? There was things there generally that were quite good for the sector.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of support. It's really good to see it being extended as far as September. Of course, we all hope that we're not going to need it for that long, but it's great to know that it's there if that happens. And yeah, I think for the sector generally, we seemed to be missing some of the tax hikes that were expected. So although we've got the obvious tax hike that's made all of the headlines being the corporation tax rate, it's not for a couple of years from now. So it was one of the more pleasant budgets recently, I would say.
Yeah, and in terms of the COVID support, the furlough scheme extended, as you say, there's a bit more support for the contractors, self-employed. So that's good. And I understand that we've extended that into the people some of the people that previously not been able to access that.
The new recovery loan scheme should be quite a good boost as well.
Yeah, that enables give some companies some working capital to get cracking again with the cost to get back to work. The problem has been that a number of companies have taken bounce back loans and civil loans, and they maybe because everything's gone on longer than was expected, they've probably spent quite a lot of that already, and getting up and running again is going to take a bit more than they thought. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what will happen with the new apprentices, or the enhanced grants available for apprenticeships. I think that will be really positive for the industry looking to take on those youngsters and train them up.
There's certainly seems to be some skills shortages around, so that will be really good. On business tax more specifically, what's this about the super deduction?
The super deduction. I can't wait to see what the official name of that will be. So for companies, and it does apply to companies only, they can get a super deduction against their profits for any plant and machinery that they buy. And this will run for just 2 years as planned at the moment, from 1st of April 2021. And it means instead of just being able to write off 100% of the cost, as many companies currently can using the annual investment allowance, they'll be able to write off 130% of the cost of any new plant and machinery against their profits. So it's a really good time to invest in plant and machinery, new bits of kit in the industry. And as the Chancellor said, we haven't actually attempted anything like this in the UK before, so it would be great to see lots of businesses making the most of it for that 2-year period.
There doesn't seem to be any limit to the expenditure, right? Because the example that Mr. Sunak gave was quite big, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a £10 million example, giving a £13 million deduction. So if there is a limit, we're still waiting to hear about that. But £10 million is quite a generous amount.
Yeah, that's good. And also for the businesses that have been struggling over the last 9 months, 10 months, whatever it might be, there's the ability to carry back losses a bit further as well now.
Yeah, that's right. And again, we're still waiting for some of the detail on that. But our understanding so far is that it would apply for the current tax year, which is just now coming to an end, and for the following tax year as well. So any losses in these 2 tax years could be carried back up to 3 years by businesses. So hopefully they'll be able to get back some of that corporation tax pay that might have been paid in those earlier periods, and really get some immediate tax relief in for any losses.
Yeah, that's good. And there's been some changes or announcements regarding the stamp duty land tax relief and how that's been giving the market a bit of a boost recently.
Yeah, so quite a lot of press around this one, I think, and lots of anticipation to see if it would be extended. I can think of a number of solicitors who would be really relieved that they haven't got to rush to finish transactions necessarily by 31st of March. So the temporary stamp duty land tax holiday, where the residential threshold was increased to £500,000, and that's been extended now until the end of June this year. So there's another few months to try and make the most of that. It's worth up to £15,000 of stamp duty land tax saving for people, and companies and investors can make use of that stamp duty land tax holiday as well. And then to try and avoid there being a big cliff edge at the end of June, it's going to reduce from £500,000 at 0% down to £250,000 at 0% for a further 3 months until the end of September, before returning to the previous SDLT threshold of 125,000.
Bit of a sting in the tail for foreign investors, though.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's been spoken about for a little while, but it is confirmed that the new 2% stamp duty land tax surcharge for overseas purchases of UK-based residential property, they'll be paying an extra 2% stamp duty land tax surcharge on those purchases. And for those overseas buyers, you would expect most of them to already own residential properties somewhere else in the world. So if they're purchasing an investment property here in the UK, they're also likely to be caught by the 3% surcharge as well.
Yeah, so perhaps a bit of a double whammy there for them. And there's the new announcement regarding 95% mortgages, which are backed by government guarantee. I was talking to some bankers earlier on, and apparently their call centres were absolutely inundated with calls. Immediately, the Chancellor sat down, so there's obviously some demand there as well.
Yeah, really, really promising to see. It will really help out first-time buyers. And I believe it's up to property purchases of £600,000 that they can make use of this scheme for. And it's for any property as well. It doesn't have to be for new build property, which has been the case with some of the recent schemes that are on their way out.
Oh, that's interesting. And generally on infrastructure, there's with the free ports and I think previous announcements on spending around the hospitals and roads and HS2 and various other things. I think the construction industry is going to be quite busy.
Yeah, I think the Freeport news is really quite exciting. There's quite a lot of tax breaks as well for people who are able to get themselves some property in those Freeport areas. So it would be great to see how that all unfolds.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, I mean, in terms of the budget, there was a lot of things that were much trumpeted beforehand that were going to happen, and quite a number of them didn't. What was missing?
Capital gains tax definitely stands out as being the one that was widely rumoured there'd be tax hikes there, and the Chancellor didn't touch capital gains tax rates at all. So that was quite an interesting one. Property investors don't have to worry yet about that capital gains tax rate increase. Potentially it could still happen in the future. We've got some of the most competitive capital gains tax rates that we've had in the UK for quite some time at the moment. So it could be an area that gets increased in the future.
At the risk of ending on a negative, there was a couple of things that we were hoping might get delayed as far as this sector is concerned, and that didn't happen either.
Yeah, that's right. And one of those would be the domestic reverse charge for VAT. That was actually introduced from the beginning of this calendar month in March, and yeah, it had been delayed on a few occasions, and there has been some hope that it would be delayed again, but it was introduced at the beginning of this month, and it doesn't look like there will be any changes made there.
The op payroll working, wasn't it? It's come in as well recently, so that's still going to be a problem for the sector to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot more care is going to need to be taken by people from 1st of April this year to make sure that anyone they're paying as a self-employed person is genuinely self-employed, and any payments that are being made to companies for personal services are genuinely not employees and wouldn't otherwise be treated as employees, and all of those tax obligations that would go alongside that.
Well, I think overall, as I said, a pretty good budget for the sector, but with one or two maybe things that we were hoping that would get kicked down the road a little bit further, not happening.
Absolutely, yeah.